A wizard is never late. He arrives precisely when he intends to.
The wizard that there is or
I know it's the wrong wizard, but I mean, I'm 3 weeks late to this thing. I gotta come up with some kind of joke or something. That's right. I've finally seen Jon Chu's new musical masterpiece. I don't know, I got complicated feelings on this one. Wicked. Now, I saw the musical the weekend before in Seattle and was really surprised at how much I enjoyed it. The characters are really well written, especially Glinda, who surprised me because she annoyed the shit out of me at first. The songs are great, and the story itself isn't your typical, I'm a bad guy, but see, I'm actually a good guy. So when I watched the movie, I was also surprised that so many of the things I loved about the musical carried over to the movie. These characters are still incredibly well written, and the relationship between Elphaba and Glinda is incredibly fascinating to watch unfold. Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, who both give amazing performances. Ariana Grande surprises with an interesting level of depth to an otherwise slightly comedic character. It's the right way to play Glinda, and I think she nailed it. Cynthia, on the other hand, gives a subtle, incredibly introspective performance. Elphaba as a character is usually a lot bigger and a lot louder, but Cynthia plays her much more subdued, which I actually really enjoyed, and I think pairs well with Jon Chu's idea of trying to make a movie and not just remake a musical and film it. Because those lingering close-ups on her eyes only work with a performance like that. Jon Chu directs the hell out of this thing. Blocking, camera movement, and choreography was firing on all cylinders here, as almost every single scene is optimized to be a movie scene and not just filming a stage play like Fences. I might get shit for that one. Particular scenes like Loathing and the ballroom dance scene use sound editing or even juxtaposing images against each other to build upon the original message and intention of the scenes. So that Wicked, his movie, becomes something that really can only be experienced in a cinema, even though it was designed to be on a stage. Now, I can't talk about Jon Chu's directing style without talking about his controversial decision for Wicked. People hate the way this is color graded. Bruh. When I was going into the movie, I was like, dude, why would you do a Wizard of Oz movie and cut the colors in half? It wasn't until I watched the movie that I got his interview.
Speaking to the Globe and Mail, Chu said, I think what we wanted to do was immerse people into Oz, to make it a real place. Because if it was a fake place, if it was a dream in someone's mind, then the real relationships and the stakes that these two girls are going through wouldn't feel real.
By muting the colors, it doesn't make it feel like Dorothy experiencing this wonderful dreamland, but actually, the dreamland is the reality of these characters. And instead of the Wizard of Oz being this colorful, magical being, to Elphaba, it's this incredible disappointment. So although I completely understand people's hatred, because it's something I've criticized Marvel for, I actually side with Jon Chu. I think this is a really smart decision to see the world from Elphaba's perspective. Which is also why the only time he breaks that color grading rule is when you're in Glinda's perspective. But that was weird because the whole frame went pink like this. Other things such as the music are obviously incredibly well done. These are songs people have loved for decades, and I'm just now starting to love as well. I find myself at work humming Popular and Defying Gravity all of the time. Which is something I can't say for other musicals I really wanted to work. That's so sad about Moana 2, guys. So, I'm singing mostly praises about this movie. So why am I hesitant to call it a masterpiece or even say that I love it? Well, I think the third act kind of struggles a little bit. It turns into an MCU movie kind of thing with bunches of CGI and big set pieces that feel cheap and not real. Which, after 2.5 hours of practical sets, kinda hurts. More crucially though, this movie I just don't think works as a part 1. There's not really a sense of finality or even a real drive within the story itself. And that means that this doesn't stand on its own, which is even harder to swallow when the movie is 3 hours long and the musical itself is 3 hours. Wicked, on my scale, is great. I really wish I could say I love this movie, but the way it's formatted as a part 1 really holds things back for me. And a disappointing third act doesn't help either. Now, don't let that stop you from going to go see the movie though, because it is probably one of my favorite blockbusters of the year, if not my favorite studio movie of the year.